Hello, my wonderful spirit guides. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be reacting to a video from YouTuber Lucent, who is also a reaction channel, and we have similar audiences, we react to similar music. Lucent hit me up actually and said, should we do a collab in some way or another? And we decided that would be a good idea, and that he would react to one of my videos and I'd react to one of his. And for all the Florence and the Machine fans, you'll be happy to know that they're both Florence and the Machine albums. So I'm going to be reacting to Lucent doing a reaction to Dance Fever, my favourite Florence album, and he's reacted to me doing High as Hope, which is one of his favourite Florence albums. So I hope you'll be able to enjoy both videos, and also I will link Luscents Channel in the description too. So yeah, you can watch them back to back if you wanted to. But anyway, I am so looking forward to getting into this. I'm a little bit nervous because obviously I haven't done something like this, like a reactionception. I think Lucent actually said something like that in the old DMs. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to, you know, obviously hear the music, but hear his thoughts on it, because I know I've seen Lucent's videos before, and I know that he really is good at like tying the songs together in like a storyline. I don't know if he'll do it in this album, but I've seen him do it and I really love it. Plus, like, he shows a lot of emotion, which I enjoy because I can be quite emotional too. But I think he shows more than I do sometimes. So I'm like, oh, really look forward to it. I wonder if his reaction, because sometimes when I watch reactions, I feel more emotion than when I've reacted to the same album. So like, you know, watching someone else react to it gives me chills more, makes me tear up more, makes me laugh more, all those things. I wonder if I'll find out more from this album through Lucent's interpretations and so on. I don't know. Instead of wondering, let's get into it. If you'd like to see this completely uncut on Patreon, then please do follow the links below. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, I shall follow you back. I also have a Discord, so you can join that. If you would like to send me a tip of any kind, then I do have a PayPal link too, because obviously these videos have a way of getting demonetized. But anyway, let's get into it. This could be a long video too, because it's going to be a lot of talking, I imagine, from me, as well as Lucent, of course. But anyway, let's go for it. I love that.
Yeah! Hello, welcome to this video. My name's Dan, aka Lucent. I'm a music producer and songwriter, and today I'm going to be reacting to Florence and the Machine's brand new album.
And do go check out Lucent's music. I've checked it out and it's really good.
This is Dance Fever.
I'll link that below.
I'm very excited, so let's go. Transition.
Nice editing.
So yeah, I've been a Florence fan for a long time.
Great
actually.
camera as well.
Stylistically, it doesn't really align with a lot of my other listening, but I don't know, there's just something, there's always been something about her that's really fascinated me. From the production to like the lyrics and her voice, and you know, there's kind of so many layers to it that I've really appreciated over the years. I think my favourites are probably Lungs and High as Hope, but then each album has its own kind of flavour and its own, like, and it has amazing songs. Like Ceremonials is incredible.
Yeah.
How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful is really different, but there's so many songs on there that I absolutely love as well. So, you know, so I'm really excited to see what she's got up her sleeve.
I might need to dive into all the reactions.
I've already heard 4 songs, so the ones that she's released with music videos and stuff. If you guys have been following the channel, then you might have seen my reactions to those. I'll still react to them in this video, even though I've obviously already heard them. I've had my record for Dance Fever on pre-order. Most of the time when I do this, the record appears at the door mid-filming, so that'll probably happen again today. Before we get started, if you're new to the channel, then make sure to subscribe for reaction content and everything.
I do really need to get on. I've got a record player, but I need to get on actually collecting some vinyls.
From the perspective of somebody who loves to write and create music, that is kind of my vibe going into all these reactions. Yeah. And if you want to check out a bit more from me, a bit more about my life and follow me, you can do so on Instagram. I've actually been posting a little bit more recently, crazy. So if you want to kind of like keep up with me and my life, then that's probably the best place to do that. And all the links to all my music and stuff, if you're intrigued, is in the description as well. Let's get going. This is the brand new album. Let's go. Yay. Song number 1, this is King. We've heard it before, but let's relive the experience. My actual kind of opinion on the lyrics of this song has definitely changed, actually. I think in the context of knowing it's kind of written in lockdown, this song hits slightly differently. It's kind of like about her using her pain to create art.
Yeah.
Like, I need the sorrow.
Need the pain.
To exist, I need to transform my sorrow into art.
Yeah. I love that.
And I guess the king represents the artist in her, for me.
Something new begins to take what strange claws are these would be coming.
I can't even remember
Everything
what I
killer
said
would
about
be
the
coming
song.
from within. This song does such a good job of like slowly building the tension.
Yeah.
I am no bride, I am king. The drums threaten, don't they? It's like you're waiting for the kind of big drop to happen.
Yeah.
And then it goes to this root and settles.
And
And then
then
comes back. It's like you're waiting the whole song for it and you're just like, yes, 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 yes.
yeah, so true.
It feels quite jubilant at the end, doesn't it? Like she's been kind of holding in this tension
I like that
and holding
word.
in her voice,
Jubilant.
right up until that moment, and then it just lets it out in almost like just an open vow, like, oh, it's
Yeah.
really cathartic.
He's
that
so-
release,
he
isn't
gets
it?
so deep
And maybe
into
it
it.
does represent the release of her art,
Never let me go.
Yeah.
Every single time I hear that line, never let me go, I'm just like,
Never let me go. At the same time.
like how the
Legend.
guitar it kind of becomes a little bit of like an unintelligible instrument. It's quite interesting. It's such a well-crafted song that like the dynamics of it, the building intention, the release, that kind of feeling of jubilance at the end. But it's not like a kind of happy jubilance, really, is it? It's like the
outpour.
anxiety and the frustration has built up to a point where you can't do anything but just go,
Oh yeah,
you
get
know.
it out.
And I think like
feel like I'm
King
talking to him.
represents for Florence her like, maybe the early days of lockdown and the building of that frustration, her not really knowing what to do with herself, her struggling maybe to create art, and her realizations about how she has to kind of almost like have a life, have the ups and downs of life, have the sorrows, have the heartbreak in order to create music.
Balance.
And turn it into the crown and turn it into the sword, that it represents her art. And how without that, it's like
So deep.
the killer is coming from within.
I
Like,
definitely
it's
didn't say any
it's
of this
the
in my reaction.
Internal angst, frustration, and maybe inability to create that's getting to her. My views on this song have changed to that kind of thing, partly because
I'm
of,
interested to see his first reaction.
Free, and because of My Love and like what those songs represent as well, and the connection to like King's connections to those songs. I'd be interested to hear your interpretation, of course. As with all of my reactions, I read as many of the comments as I can, and I really love to get into the kind of like the discussion of like what the songs really mean to different people and what they represent and what they think the story is and everything. So yeah, make sure to leave a comment.
I'll pause it quickly because I actually find it interesting. We kind of attack these types of album listening experiences in similar ways, but I would say that Dan, I think it might be his actual name. I think, does he go by Dan on Instagram? I'll have to check. But anyway, I'll just call him Lucent, of course. The thing is, I feel like we attack reactions in a similar way. We like to deeply know the lyrics and we talk about the music and how it like, what it does. And I liked how he said like the music kind of like is building constantly, then it drops and then it explodes. Like it really does make the song exciting and like has such a like it's tension and release, like something I say all the time, builds a tension and then like a big release at the end. And like he said, it's not like a happy release where it's like yay, it's just like an outpour of like like the anxiety and the pain. I'm basically just repeating what he said, but like I love that he said all that basically. But what I would say is like he is a like avid songwriter, I think. I'm not saying I know that for sure, but like he's like, I feel like he's always writing music or like, putting music out. I don't really do that. If anything, over the last few years, it's been like the least of my like desires, even though I do love writing music and writing songs here and there, but I feel the pressure of it too much. I don't have that. I wish I had that little bit of courage in me that go, and that don't give a F energy to just make music and put it out there. But I have such an overly critical brain. It's like poison sometimes. But I think because he's so in like, he loves songwriting. That I think this is what I'm like gathering, and that like he really does know details of songwriting in a very like intellectual and experienced kind of level, where like he can go in quite deep, and it's just so smart. He's just really smart, and like, I don't know, he could just pick it apart really well and smoothly, and I just really enjoy watching his videos for that. But yeah, let's carry on.
On to the next one. Speaking of, this is free, and I'm ready to go all libby to this song. Let's go. Chair shaking. Talking of building tension.
Yeah.
I wonder if I should be medicated.
And he dances in his videos, I like that.
But I love her voice.
Yeah.
My hair is all in my face.
Puts me down, spits me out, picks me up, puts me down.
I love the strings in this. Something folky about this song, actually, isn't there?
Too sensitive, they say.
Oh, I still like relate so much to the being told to be that you're too sensitive. You know?
Oh. No such thing. It's great to be sensitive.
Nope. God, I love this song. I just love how she's managed to encapsulate that feeling of freedom in just the music of it. You know, it's so jubilant. This hair is really annoying me.
I am free.
Okay.
I get the hair situation, I really do.
Ugh, to exist in the face of suffering and death and somehow still keep singing.
Yeah, I love that line.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh.
Ugh, this song just gives me chills.
I could see the emotion pouring out of him so much.
I just
feel
cannot
it.
wait to hear this one live. Oh my God.
Oh.
Oh, I love that. The string going on. I didn't notice that before. Ugh, adore that song. It is just so freeing. Like it's honestly amazing how she manages to encapsulate and exude a feeling. It's almost like she went into it being like, this needs to sound like freedom.
Yeah.
And it just does to a complete T.
Yeah.
Every single element of that production, from the instrumentation, the way it's built up, the way that the tension's built,
Even the
way that
folky
she
sounds
performs
give it freedom.
It is all freedom. And it's just so perfectly made in that sense, isn't it? And I think it's just like such a kind of like a feeling that I just so deeply relate to, having, you know, been through the last couple of years, as I'm sure a lot of us have, that feeling of freedom in short bursts. It was like dance around in the kitchen to Lady Gaga. For me, it was running as fast as I could, sprinting down the street, just trying to feel something.
Feel that, yeah.
In
Oh my
the midst
gosh.
of being locked down.
It's so weird to
you
think
know,
about.
and not having a purpose. I feel like that's what that song really just represents so clearly. And I'm sure it does for a lot of you out there.
Fully
listening to it
resonate.
as well. It's amazing, yeah. It also represents a kind of larger feeling of freedom that I'm now appreciating. I moved back in with my family for lockdown, and I've been travelling, I've been independent for years and years and years. I mean, I moved back in with them for a couple of months, and then lockdown happened, so it was never my plan to stay very long. And I ended up like staying at home for almost 2 years, and it just felt like I'd lost my independence again. So like the last like 7 or 8 months have really represented that freedom in a larger sense for me as well. And this song just brings up all those emotions, which are still so very like at the forefront. And actually, I think if there's a silver lining to take, is that now I appreciate my independence more. I appreciate my freedom so much more, having not had it for a while. And that song just reminds me of that.
That's
You know,
lovely.
so beautiful. Okay, let's go on to the next one.
No, that's beautiful. I you know, it's nice to see him, you know, talk about why the song means something to him, not just talk about the song objectively. And obviously that's something I do sometimes, but he just did it so clearly and emotively. It was just really nice to see that. And I think it's always so nice when you get to be able to get to know the creator a little bit more on levels like that, especially when you're a reactor. You don't have to really be talking about your personal life, but it's so nice when someone does. I really felt that. And to like, I can't even imagine moving in with my parents for a couple of years. Like, I don't know what I would be like. But like, obviously we have different parents, but I mean, like, I just, oh no. So I do, what I'm saying is, like, when you've lived alone for a while, been doing things independently, going back to live with your parents is like, it's like regressing. But obviously he had to, and there was probably beautiful moments in it too, but just to feel free again and out of that must be like, yeah, it's just nice to have that extra level of appreciation. I love, you know, when you go through hard times and then get out of the hard time, the appreciation is like huge. And like, the more and more hard stuff you go through and get out of, the more grateful you become, the more appreciative of things you become, the more you realize you're so lucky to have experienced it, to feel the way you do now. Like, with the more hardships, then there's more happier times too, because there's contrast involved. But anyway, let's keep going.
This is Choreomania. So this is us maybe getting taken back to medieval times. We're all going to catch some sort of weird dancing disease and we're all going to keep dancing until we die, which is apparently the influence of this album. So anyway, let's go.
Freaking out in the middle of the street.
Spoken word.
Conviction of someone who's never had anything actually really bad.
So this is first time reaction.
She's very self-aware, isn't she?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I started, suddenly I'm dancing.
I love the clapping.
Something's coming, so
Something's coming.
And there's like,
out of breath.
I love this.
Dance myself to death.
Dance myself to death.
again, the tension.
You know what I was saying about dynamics, like, and tension building. Like,
Yeah.
wow.
I'll be your demon daddy.
I love that.
Speak to me too. Something's coming, so
Oh,
Yeah.
oh my god.
Yes.
Oh my god, I just can't. This song encapsulates the line, something's coming, doesn't it?
Yeah. I feel like I'm just going to do reactions like this from now on. Just watching other people react. I'm enjoying it too much.
Ugh.
Yes.
I just love how these songs build.
Yeah. And all three of them have.
Something's coming, I just kept spinning and I danced myself to death. It's almost like dancing as a coping mechanism. Ugh. Oh my god.
It is so good.
God, this is so wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That song.
I love that.
Jesus. Oh, it just kept going, didn't it? Just kept building and building and building and building and building. It's like slowly. Well, like, obviously the tempo's not slow, but I mean, like, the tension was just going up and 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 up. It just was so satisfying.
Yeah.
It never let up.
I
And
love
it just kept going right until the end. And just
I love that you said it's so satisfying, because like, I sometimes when I hear songs I say it's just satisfying. Like, sometimes you just hear a sound that it's satisfying, and it's weird to say a word like satisfying about music, because normally you relate something like satisfying to doing a craft, or like something relaxing is satisfying, or like, you know, some people find popping spots satisfying. You know, there's some sort of release to it that makes it satisfying. But sometimes music has that. It's like a feeling in it that's like, wow, it feels like it falls into place. It's meant to be like that. That makes it clean and satisfying and perfect almost.
cut it off. Like, ugh.
Yeah, love the cut off.
I loved that. She really is, like, musically in every single song on this album really playing with this idea of dynamics, isn't she? It is dark because there's this sense that she's lost in the dance, that she's going to keep going until she dies, you know, like the medieval dancing plague thing. I love that this concept has inspired her to, like, compare her situation. So the story of that is that these people in this town one day started dancing, and it kind of was catching, and loads of people joined in, and people literally danced themselves to death. Like, they kept dancing until they died, and no one really knows why. There's a few theories, like, like a kind of mass hysteria, or like some people think that they all had like,
I wouldn't mind
disease,
going
or
out
maybe they
that
were
way.
on like drugs or hallucinating or something, but no one really knows. But I think the way in which Florence is relating her situation to it is that it's almost like she's going through a kind of like really frustrating, difficult time that's got a lot of pressure, there's a lot of death, there's a lot of fear, and her kind of reaction is to wander out into the street and just dance, because that feels like that's like the only
It's
thing
again
she can
freedom.
do, almost as dancing like therapy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like this is part of the human condition, is that we dance, you know, we hear music and we dance. And
in a way it's like you get everything's so overwhelming that you just want to be like and just start dancing, be like, I don't care, let's just dance, and like block it all out, almost like a coping mechanism too.
And like to kind of relate her like lack of control to this like medieval thing is a very unique point of reference, but something that really kind of creates a really cool kind of dynamic, dark but quite jubilant sentiment at the same time, you know, that kind of leads on from this feeling of freedom, you know, very unique. And I just think it's again masterfully
He's
crafted.
so good. He's so good at interpreting.
Really to a T.
Love
at
it.
this point. Love it. Let's go on to the next song. This is Back in Town.
Boys are back in town.
Opening. You almost can't hear it. Is this actually playing correctly? Oh yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
I was like, have I got the setup wrong? It almost sounds like it's underwater.
Never really been alive before.
Wow.
Easier, hungover. Rats run around our feet.
Kind of reminiscing back to her kind of partying days, isn't it?
Always the same. But I stay for the pain.
Wow. She's really looking inward. This is definitely giving me Highest Hope vibes.
Yeah.
If you get spat on, that's just your big city baptism.
Getting spat on like a baptism, wow.
City baptism, love that line.
She's really brilliant at coming up with these like short like lines in songs that have so much weight to them.
Oh yeah.
My example with Florence is always the line, never let me go. Just how much that in such a short space of time has so much emotion attached to it. And this has the same kind of thing. I pay for the pleasure, but I stay for the pain.
Yeah.
Amazing. Song's quite quiet. That was a weird one. A different vibe that's from everything we've heard so far. That one almost kind of seemed like a interval, you know, in a sense.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
it kind
I was
of
about to
didn't really
say
have
that.
like a strict flow to it. It was, interesting.
Yeah.
I loved the kind of the emotion that it built up throughout the beginning section. This kind of underwater kind of like dulled sense of feeling. That's the kind of vibe that it gave me. Let's have a look at the lyrics.
Cool.
She's kind of reflecting on her past and how actually like all the imagery that she's painting is supposed to be like quite fun, you know, we're going out to parties, we're having a great time, but like the words that she's using are really giving it such a kind of dark undertone. Obviously it starts with never really been alive before, I always lived in my head, and sometimes it was easier hungover and half dead. You know, she's looking back at her past and how for her it was easier to cope with life if she was just partying and drunk all the time. And she reflected a lot on that on Highest Hope. I'm back in town, why don't we go out, let the rats spin around our feet. The full moon shines down these dirty streets. It's like beauty and ugliness, because I came for the pleasure, but yes, I stayed for the pain.
The
If you get
duality
spat
of
on,
it.
it's just your big city baptism. You're the star of the show. Amazing. Isn't that just incredible? Like amazing lyricism, because it has this kind of duality of the kind of grandiose, I'm in the city, we're going out, we're having party, you know, the moon is shining down on us, it's so romantic, but every single one is like undercut by dirtiness, by rats, by, you know, the dirty streets being spat on. Really like gritty imagery mixed in with this really beautiful imagery. It's like split right down the middle, and it's really cynical. I'm not sure how it necessarily fits into the context of everything we've heard so far, but maybe it is just a, you know, like a self going inward kind of thing, which I guess is what a lot of what we've heard.
And I was thinking, like, you know, he was saying about the music sounding like underwater-ish, but, you know, if it's a memory, I guess it could have that wishy-washy sound of like what you relate to memories, because memories aren't really clear. They're like dreams almost. So it's all a bit like not quite, it doesn't have the clarity of the present. But yeah, that's cool that he said about it sounding watery, because it just sparked that thought for me.
Anyway, let's go on to the next one.
Nice.
This is Girls Against God. The beginnings of each of these songs are really quiet. Did I accidentally turn it down? Let's just double check. No, it is just a really slow intro.
Real love, I don't like it very much.
Wow, the pressure of being loved. Wow, God.
And it's good to be alive, crying in the cereal at midnight.
Crying into cereal.
I love
midnight.
this song.
Never let me out, gonna really let it out.
Yeah, sounds like a lockdown fever.
Yeah.
Kind of sick.
So beautiful.
Love the chords.
You'll be sorry that you messed with us.
Wow.
Oh, tell me it's not over yet. Wait
Wow.
for the
It's like fear about life potentially not going back to normal.
Yeah.
It's good to be alive, crying in the cereal at midnight.
I love that lyric. Oh my God.
It's just so visceral, the lyric,
Let it out.
and relatable.
About that appreciation for freedom, isn't
Yeah.
it?
To wage holy war, very much like staring at my bedroom floor.
Again, she's got like real like oxymorons going on.
And I know I may not look like much. You'll be sorry that you messed with us.
You'll be sorry that you messed with us. Like trying to find power when you feel completely insignificant.
Yeah.
It's good to feel alive crying into cereal. Because at least you're alive. Yeah, fuck.
No.
It really feels like this is taking me back. Jesus. What's that? This is like a plane.
Excuse me.
The devil, you know, he gave me a choice.
Oh my God.
A golden boy.
Oh my God, that really started to sound like a descent into madness. It really felt like that whole song was quite optimistic, like apart from, you know, crying into my cereal at midnight. But then it is optimistic though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because she's like, it feels great to be crying into my like cereal at midnight because at least that means that I'm alive, you know? I feel like that was, God, that just really struck a thing in me, like how the pandemic really woke us all up, I think, and made us start to appreciate things again. You know, we had our freedoms taken away from us and the whole world was scared of dying, and lots of people did die, you know, like, and just to appreciate being alive again is quite a powerful thing to go through. And that's kind of what she was representing. It kind of felt like she was like, I'm standing in the face of God. If God is the person that put this pandemic on this planet and is like, you know, killing millions of people, then I'm gonna defiantly cry into my cereal at midnight because like, well, I'm gonna push through this. I'm more important. I'm not insignificant, you know, although at times I feel like I am. But at the end, it almost sounds like it's almost like she trades her soul to the devil at the end, doesn't she? It descends, doesn't it? And it's like, oh, it's real about change. So maybe like this is signifying a bit of madness creeping in. She started off fairly optimistic, but she's going downhill maybe. I don't know, we'll see. Fascinating. There's so much kind of really dark, heavy, psychological shit buried in a kind of cynical, laugh at yourself, kind of British sense of humour, kind of laughing through the pain.
Definitely
kind of
a British sense of humour.
Because, you know, what a thing to admit that when
So
someone looks at me with real love, I
self-deprecating
don't
and-
like it very much. It's like,
Like,
Jesus.
ew, go away.
It's like really, really heavy shit, but she kind of approaches it with such kind of frivolity that it's like, I mean, it's a very British thing to do that, I think. The kind of sense of humour that she has in this song is really fascinating because, and it's good to be alive, crying into my cereal at midnight is like so, it is such a funny image,
Yeah.
but it's so dark at the same time. And it's really such a striking.
But it's like, it's so dark, but so relatable. Like, there are just so many, like, in that time, everyone was a little bit weird, you know what I mean? We did things backwards, we did things upside down, we did things inside out, you know, like, I remember everyone started decorating during lockdown, and I was one of those people. I fully decorated my living room, and but there were moments where you're like, I even changed the way I slept. So I like started sleeping with my head this end of the bed rather than that end of the bed, just because I wanted it to feel different. You know, I'm like bound to the bed in some ways, but you know, I'm bound to the house. So like, it was nice to make some changes and stuff. It's so strange. And it's like, wow, it makes you realize how like humans really can't be in captivity for too long. And it also makes you realize how prisons are probably quite insufferable. So it is just weird. And you know what I took from the song, in the sense of like, I just love the whole like, we're gonna come for you, like all us women are gonna come for you. There is definitely a feminine energy in it too, which is great. And it's almost like she wants to see her friends and stuff, all her girlfriends that she misses, and they've all been chatting saying, oh, I hate this, and it's like she's almost talking about, you know, she's speaking for her friends as a collective as well. But I love the kind of, you know, that sort of bit of like, I'm just a screaming speck of dust. And I know I've talked about this already, but, you know, I may not look like much, just a screaming speck of dust, but she's still gonna scream and she's still gonna shout. I mean, she's got all her girls with her that will roll into a dust bunny, so it'll be a bit bigger. But nah, it's cool, and loving Lucent's interpretation obviously is inspiring me to talk more about it too. And yeah, the descendant into that little bit at the end is interesting, and it does kind of, it foreshadows the darkness to come as well.
It represents somebody who's like, almost, it feels like such a funny image, but it's so dark at the same time. And that's really such a striking thing. It represents somebody who's like, almost, it feels like that they're at the edge of their sanity in a way, doesn't it? And then the outro, I met the devil, you know, he gave me a choice, a golden heart or a golden voice. So I'm not sure what that temptation is supposed to represent. Like, maybe it's like going inward or going outward. I don't know. There's something kind of foreboding about that. Yes. Let's go on to the next one. This is Dream Girl Evil.
Oh, I can't wait. I love this song.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah.
Right?
Oof.
Yeah.
Is it about fantasy? Other people's fantasies of her? Oof. That kick drum is so powerful. Oh, yeah.
Did mommy make you sad?
Oh my god. It feels like she's singing to like incels.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
It's like people's like, maybe people online have fantasies of her and how she doesn't match up to that. She's kind of saying fuck you.
Yeah.
Do whatever the fuck you want. Doesn't affect me.
So intuitive.
This song has kind of rocky edge to it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oof. That kick drum is so nicely produced.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Her best produced album for me, I'd say.
Yeah.
Just when it comes to production.
Ugh.
I just love this song.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that was so cool. That was really kind of had such a kind of rocky edge to it. Considering the first few songs were all kind of like a bit more like flouncy, like kind of vibes, apart from King maybe. That one definitely, after the end of Girls Against God, almost like...
But I even think King sounds almost like sweet and subtle compared to Dream Girl Evil. Like that has a harder edge, a darkness, whereas King, well, the colours for me are very purpley blue for King and black and stuff like that, but it has like a spiritual energy to it, whereas this one has just a raw emotion, you know?
Switched from like angel to devil, you know, in terms of its like attitude. The first few songs were definitely more looking inward, definitely more like kind of floundering, whereas this one she kind of like is targeting somebody else. And to me it seems like she's targeting like maybe trolls on the internet, maybe like that incel culture, maybe just specific haters who have come up against her, kind of saying, you know, your fantasy, I don't match up to your fantasies of you because it's just that, it's a fantasy, and you've turned me into this kind of dream evil person, whereas actually I'm just a real human being actually behind it all. Let's have a little look at the lyric. Did you miss me? Walk on water just to kiss me. I love that. Oh, come and get me, drag me out, destroy me. I've been expecting you. I'm ready. Deliver me that bad news, baby. It's amazing. It's like, come at me. Am I your dream girl? You think of me in bed, but you can never hold me and like me better in your head. Make me evil, then I'm an angel instead.
Yeah.
At least you'll sanctify me when I'm dead. Like maybe like a public perception of her, people holding her like to impossible standards, but also thinking she's the devil. Like there's kind of both sides.
He's
to
so
it there.
good.
But she says at least when I'm dead, you'll celebrate me. You know, like they do with all artists. You know, did I disappoint you? Did mummy make you sad? Do I just remind you of every girl that made you mad? Make me perfect, make me your fantasy. I know I deserve it. Well, take it out on me. And it's she's become this almost like perception of people on the internet's kind of like internalized sexism, and she's kind of saying, do whatever the fuck you want with the image of me. It doesn't actually affect me. It's not real. Like in the outro, it cannot hold, you know, it's not real. Watch me shimmer, a projection of your mother. But don't come crying, I'm nobody's moral centre. It's really kind of getting a bit Freudian with that, isn't it? Like, it's really kind of like, it's almost like she's writing it to liberate herself from them.
Yeah,
you know? She's taking back the
definitely.
power in a way. Really cool. Okay, let's go on to the next one. This is Prayer Factory.
Okay. I agree with everything you said.
Oh, this is only a minute into full song.
Oh, I love this though.
It's definitely got a lot darker.
Yeah. I love the darker sounds. This is really fascinating to listen to. I love all the build-up of instrumentation. It's like the build-up of different sounds, so it all kind of becomes a bit unintelligible. I'm not sure what that one was supposed to represent. Let's have a look at the lyrics, because I think that's going to reveal something. All the things I ran from, I now bring as close to me as I can. Why don't you give me a call? Open my mouth, yes, I'll take it all. All this work gone to waste. You make me climb, then you shut the gate. I'm not sure what she's referring to. It's like, maybe it's industry, like Prayer Factory, like, you know, it's like a factory. It's like preying on people's like art and their dreams and everything. We build them all out just to shut them out. But then she's had success, so maybe it's like saying that even if like you've find success, it still doesn't mean that, you know, you're going to continue to have long-lasting success. And actually maybe like she's contemplating her own security, thinking it all could just come tumbling down. Let me know what your interpretation is. Let's go on to the next one. That's cool. I don't know if I even said anything about that song when I first heard it, to be fair. I think I kind of was like, I love it, now let's move on. I don't even know. I need to kind of rewatch my video on it. But yeah, definitely that kind of, you make me climb and then you shut the gate. Like just the feeling in general though, like someone, whoever it is, whether it be the industry or whoever, is making her like literally put in so much work and like teasing her with like success, and then just shutting that door in your face, and it's just falling all the way back down again. And it could be, you could literally say that for so many things. It could be to do with addiction, it could be do with like creative arts, or like again going back to lockdown, feeling like I was about to go set out on tour and do all these things, but then he just shut the door on me and now I'm stuck back in again. I know, so much interpretations just with that line, those two lines there.
Is, what is it? Cassandra. Oh, Cassandra, you've always been my North Star. Ooh, kind of cinematic opening.
Pace around the kitchen for scraps of inspiration. And left me doing laundry to thinking what I'd done.
Wow. It's like being taken from the height of fame back down to...
1 second, I'm just wrapping my feet up because I'm actually really cold. I've got my heating on, but you know, the tootsies get cold. Feel like a little old lady with this little blanket on my lap. All I need now is a little dog. Right.
0.
I used to move into the future.
Ooh. That was quite an abrupt
I love this
change
one.
in key, seems. Ooh.
Can you see me? I cannot hear.
Oof.
All the gods have been domesticated.
Oh, yeah. see me, I cannot see you. There's no one left to sing to.
So gorgeous,
This
this
song didn't
song.
quite go where I thought it was going to go, actually. It's strange.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh my god.
So witchy and
quite tell what she's saying.
vampiric, all of it.
Wow. It doesn't quite go full pace very often, this album, does it? When it does, it's like
Yeah,
really satisfying.
powerful. Oh my god, it's so good.
Oof,
Again
wow.
with the
That
abrupt
really
ending.
didn't quite go where I thought it was going to go. Like, the beginning was a little bit more like, kind of sounded like maybe she was kind of going to go somewhere a little bit more optimistic again, and then it turned and it
Fully
became
turned.
quite intense. I got quite lost in that one. There was a large section where I was just like,
Yeah.
So apologies. Let's have a little look at the lyrics.
It's easy to
There's
get lost
so
in
much
it.
like brilliant lyricism in this album. I think that's like really the standout thing for me at the moment so far is the lyrics, because like looking at this first verse, I used to see the future, now I see nothing. They cut out my eyes and sent me home packing to pace around the kitchen for scraps of inspiration. I'm not sure who Cassandra is supposed to be. I used to tell the future, but they cut out my tongue and left me doing laundry to think on what I've done. It wasn't me, it was the song. It's just the heights of like the comparisons in all the lyrics throughout. So much of the lyricism of this album is that it's like sublime to the ridiculous, and I think that she's really pointing out the almost hilarious dramatics that all of our lives kind of went through.
Oh,
like she
yeah.
went from like singing on a massive stage and touring the world to pacing around the kitchen, trying to find inspiration, trying to write songs, doing the laundry, like the most like mundane stuff.
it's just
was like
so
by now
hard
the
to find
highlight of her day.
inspiration
And like the way in
with
which her
that.
lyricism represents that, like the huge dynamic shift, I think is just incredibly poetic,
Yeah.
particularly in that opening verse for this song. It seems like she
And there's something about Florence in this album, you know, talk about a lockdown, that there's like a melodramatic sort of feeling to it too. But I mean that in the best way ever. Like she emphasizes the emotion on a huge scale, and like obviously I believe she felt it on that huge scale. Of course I do. But like the music and the way she does it just emphasizes it even more. It's like theatre almost. I just think that's so cool.
like reconsidering who she is because of this, you know, like her kind of boldness. You know, I used to move into the future, bring it all back, let it bleed through my fingers, and a treasure in my hands. Now I creep out when there's no one about. It's like, you know, anxiety, where she used to be bold, now she's anxious. Every
That's
song I thought I
changing.
knew, I've been deafened to, and there's no one left to sing to. It's just really like everything has been switched. Everything I thought I knew is a lie. Everything that like defined my life is now gone, and now I act in a completely different way. I feel in a completely different way. I'm much more internal. I'm much more anxious. It's
Wow.
really just fucking amazing. Okay, let's go on to the next one.
And I think for me, like lockdown, the first lockdown wasn't so bad for me in England, because of, like I said, I was doing decorating and stuff like that. There was something quite joyful about it. I was making music with the family. You know, I had my boyfriend and my daughter, so it was a family kind of situation, and we had to do homeschooling. It was kind of cool, but there were obviously the moments of missing people. Oh my gosh, of course. But then the second lockdown is what really hit me. That was like the darkest, especially because it was like winter as well, where like I don't really spend a lot of time outside in winter anyway, but like just the season itself is darker and a bit more depressing. So the second lockdown was a lot harder. I think in some ways some people felt it harder than maybe I did. Well, I know they did. I feel almost quite lucky to have been in a situation I was in during lockdown. Even though I found it hard, it was definitely not as hard as some people, because I see a lot of beauty in the lockdown too, which I'm sure many people do as well. But sometimes listening to these songs and thinking about the lockdown, I'm like, wow, it's more of like I get to see the insights of someone who really felt it on a bigger level than I did. And it's like, wow, that's interesting. We all had our own experiences with it. And then watching Lucent as well talk about his experience with it and how he relates to the song so much of like free and like the freedom and stuff. It's kind of beautiful. And again, it makes me appreciative that I didn't have it so bad, but I had my moments.
Evan is here. I have heard this one, but let's listen to it again. It's very lo-fi, this song, isn't it? Ugh. The power in the drums is so amazing. I wonder why she chose this one to do a music video for, because it's very short and different.
It's like an
a
intro.
short poem that got turned into a song.
To the album in a way.
Ugh. I love how that drum, that like kick drum that comes in almost like changes the tempo slightly, doesn't it? Ugh.
It is so good.
Every song I wrote, they pull me up to heaven.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Isn't that just so fucking powerful, that
Very.
song? It feels like so raw, like
Yeah.
the kind of
yeah.
like depths of like frustration, desperation, maybe after frustration where you're just like almost feel like completely wrought, you know, there's nothing left for you to give. And again, she's got this big, it's not really oxymoron, but it's like a kind of big comparison dichotomy in her lyrical content where she says, you know, every song I wrote became an escape rope, you know, giving me hope that I tied around my neck like a noose to pull me up to heaven. It's like the two things. It's like, you know, yes, it's giving me freedom, but it's also kind of maybe showing me that I'm not free. I don't know. Like it's almost like I'm hanging myself with my own hopes. You know, amazing. It's amazing.
Hope is a dangerous thing for a woman like me to have, but I have it.
Amazing and so powerful, and I love the way that the production builds up. Then it's almost like things that, like sheets are being ripped, and like the vocal kind of guttural things are very kind of animalistic. It's almost like she's been taken back to that place, and it's fascinating, really fascinating, and so powerful in the middle of the album to have something that is just so unique. It seems like a kind of a bit of poetry that was developed into something, and she was like, it doesn't need to be a full song, it doesn't need a big hooky chorus, this is what it is, you know. Let's go on to the next song. I've not been counting all the songs. This is song number 10. This is Daffodil.
Oh yes, I'm excited for this.
Optimism of spring.
Helpless optimism of spring.
And yet
The birds still came to sing. The spring still came back around. I have a song called Daffodils that is quite so... It's not delicate, is it? You know, it's very... it's like an opposite.
Yeah.
the future in the face of a daffodil.
Saw the future in the face of a daffodil. It's like when it feels like the world is broken and that things won't come on, still the spring comes back around and it represents new life.
That's
you know?
gorgeous. I like how he said that. That's really nice.
All the blood that I could, made myself a mythical daffodil.
The production on this album is quite interesting as well. Like it kind of seems to be like floating between like her kind of like floral
Light and
kind
dark.
of vibes and like something a bit grittier and heavier and rockier.
Again, just that balance and duality that's carried on throughout.
I drank every sky that I could.
I drank every sky that I could.
Daffodil.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yes, wow.
Oh. Oh my god.
Yeah. I got goosebumps.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, to have a song called Daffodil that is so aggressive is pretty ballsy and really poetic, I think.
Yeah.
Because, like, for something as simple as spring coming around, for it to feel like it has so much weight and so much drama and so much heaviness, that's the unique position in which she found herself. For me, it's like, it seems to represent, you know, like when all the world is kind of crumbling around you and you feel like the world's not going to go on, suddenly she managed to find hope, because in the small things, in the real life things, in, you know, Daffodils come out in March, which is when we all went into lockdown in the UK, and it's almost like the world is continuing on, you know. It kind of makes you feel insignificant and powerful at the same time. You know, the world is carrying on, like the seasons are carry on. The birds are still chirping, the flowers are still coming out. They don't give a shit about the pandemic. They don't seem to have noticed
Actually,
at all.
they probably
And that
quite
kind of makes
liked
you
it.
feel like we have no significance. But the other side of it is
Optimistic
that
nihilism.
it's kind of hope. And I think that's why the energy in this song is so heavy. It's because she got taken to such a low point, and this simple thing is giving us such a huge amount of hope.
Yeah.
It kind of feels incredibly dramatic to be taken from one place to the other with just the sight of a daffodil. Is amazing. Just in poetry.
It is poetry.
Amazing. Oh my God. It's...
And like, I just feel that on such a level because like, I think like that, if that makes sense. Like, I'll look at a view and be very much like, wow, this is our earth. Like, look at the beauty of that, and how the contrast between like a beautiful landscape and a city, and know that they can live in the same place. But like, that's one thing. But then thinking about the daffodil, like, and spring still coming around, even though we're all locked indoors because there's a disease like literally just floating through our air from person to person, killing us, right? And then there's just nature. Like, there was freaking dolphins in Venice, like going down the Venice canals, which is insane considering Venice is very like polluted. But there was dolphins swimming through it, you know. So like, nature was thriving, and even though we are natural organisms and so on, we were not thriving. And that's poetic in itself, isn't it? And also just makes you open your eyes to what we do to this earth as well. But I just love that like thought of like, you know, the world's still going on and we are stagnant. And it is like, the optimism lies in the fact that like, oh, I, you know, being someone who loves nature is like, oh, I'm so happy that it's thriving, but it's also extremely sad that like I can't go out and enjoy it in a way that I used to. But in a way though, you could enjoy it more because like, you know, going to like little hidden places in the woods where there's no people, you know, that's what I did a lot. But yeah, I think I've lost my point a little bit, but I think you kind of understand what I'm saying, and I get what Luscent's saying.
Just wonderful. She's incredible. It's incredibly existential, this album. I think that's kind of what I'm discovering through these songs. Is it's like a existential rediscovery of herself, of her art, of her place in the world, of the world's place, of humans' place. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Exactly.
This is my love. I've heard it a million times. I love it. And let's have a little dance party. I love this opening. I listen to this version rather than the radio edit. It's always made sense to me. Every page is empty, so it's bright against the worrying sky. It's really taking it back down to simple notions of writing, isn't it? You know. So tell me where to put my love. Time to do what it does.
Nice.
No cracking open of heaven. It's like actually almost
we
like
need a cover.
reference
We need
to
a Lucent
Daffodil,
cover,
isn't it? You know, the inspiration came not from something huge and dramatic, but from looking at a flower. Incredible. Just the artistry on display in this album is just absolutely incredible. I'm gonna throw my headphones off. It's time to do what it does. I'm gonna throw my headphones
Nearly
off.
missed that
It's
moment.
time to do what it does. I don't know where to put my love.
Sounds really good.
And the sky's empty, the sky's empty, the building's empty.
Nice. Aww.
All the buildings are empty. So tell me where to put my love. God, I adore this song. Arms empty, the sky's empty, the building's empty. Oh, it's billboards, isn't it? Oh, buildings and billboards. Okay, fine.
It's both.
Amazing. I love it.
Aww.
I need to sort my hair out. I do love a bit of hairography, if I'm honest. So tell me where to put my love.
The audio
Do
went
I
a bit
wait
crazy
for
then.
time to
I was
do
into
what
it.
does? I still completely adore that song. It's so wonderful. I think it's incredible how it sums up so much of what the album is about by her kind of describing her artistry and her songwriting process and being kind of meta about it. She's, you know, describing the writing of the album inside like one of the lead singles, you know, which I think is really cool and meta. It's incredible like how she manages to like sum up what it is like to feel completely creatively hopeless and then to manage to find inspiration, but it not being in the huge dramatics of what's going on in the world, but actually in looking at the face of a daffodil, the quiet and still things that she found the inspiration, not where she expected. It's, oh God, it's so good.
And see, he ties it together so well.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, let's go on to the next one. This is actually just a small middle song as well. This is Restraint. It's 47 seconds. Let's do it. Oh. I thought that was going to be optimistic then.
Restraint.
Very Lingua noted.
Quiet enough for you yet.
Oof, the venom in her voice. Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Love that.
Oh my God, that gave me chills. That was really freaky. I'm slightly unnerved. if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that's okay. My first thought was like the message is kind of one of feminism, you know, being said that she should be practicing restraint. And have I learned restraint? Am I quiet enough for you yet? It's like, you know, looking maybe at like the kind of the patriarchy and kind of saying, have I conformed enough to your opinion of me yet? That's kind of my first thought. I'm not sure. That could mean a million things. It feels like a kind of continuation of that kind of outro of My Love, doesn't it? It's like continuing the kind of emotional storytelling there. But yeah, I'm not sure how it kind of relates to the lyrics of My Love. But yeah, I'm not sure. Anyway, let's go on to the next one. This is the penultimate song. This is Bomb. No, it's not. It's The Bomb. The Bomb. Maybe that was a sigh. Letting it out. Because this feels like optimism, doesn't it?
You said this could have been the best thing. I think they are the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Appreciating the small things, huh?
Yeah.
Melody is the only thing that turns you on. Tell me that I'm wrong.
She's looking on to somebody else now.
I've blown apart my life.
I love this one.
Come here, baby. Tell me.
I love that in that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the music represents the bomb, you know. Boom.
Ooh, I like that. I never thought of that.
I don't love you, I just love the bomb.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bodies hit the floor for you and break.
Jesus. It's almost like saying that she loves the drama of
Yeah.
completely changing herself for this person.
Yeah.
God, wow.
The toxicity.
Maybe she broke up with somebody after everything.
Sometimes you get the song.
Is it her or is it just the song? Is it real? Interesting. Change of pace musically and thematically.
Yeah.
Though maybe it fits in because like to
It
me it
is
seems
different.
as if maybe the person that she was with, maybe after all this introspection, maybe after lockdown and stuff, maybe the pressure was too much and all these kind of realizations that she's kind of gone through, maybe after all of that she realized that she wasn't really in love with this person. She was just in love with the drama of her like changing herself for them, like the intensity of that. It made her feel alive to completely blow apart her whole life to be with this one person.
Yeah. And it could just be her reflecting on a previous relationship before lockdown, because like lockdown gave us so much time to think that we did end up thinking about things from the past and so on. So it's like she might not be thinking about someone she was with currently or very in the near recent past, you know, it's someone maybe from further away, and you know, just coming up with those kind of realizations as we're in that thinking time in lockdown.
She's admitting to herself that that's what she wanted rather than actually this other person. It's really fascinating how she's really tying together these like really disparate concepts of like a bomb, something incredibly violent and deathly. And she talks about falling bodies and shit like that in a song that's like a soft acoustic guitar.
Literally.
Compare it to Daffodils, which is like talking about the birds tweeting and the face of a daffodil in the sun or whatever. In a hugely dramatic thing. It's like really incredible how she's really doing that. And there's something so poetic in representing.
I guess Daffodil had more of a present pain, like a present feeling. So it's more dramatic because it's more present. Whereas like if it's going off what I was saying, like I'm remembering something, it hasn't got the urgency, the drama that it like that the present can hold, if that makes sense. This is more of a past thing that she's come to realizations with, so it's a little bit more gentle.
The drama
Possibly.
in something small and representing the non-drama in something big. You know, really, really, really fascinating stuff. She's like just such an incredible artist. I feel like every single time she releases new music, she's just showing another part of her incredible well of artistry.
Oh yeah,
it's really cool. Wow. Okay, before we go into the final song,
can you believe I was
if you've
a
got this
hater
far in the video
before?
and you haven't yet subscribed, this is your moment to do so.
And also, like, sorry, didn't mean to. I paused on him, like, but what I was going to say is, it's interesting that I just did not like Florence before, but I always loved her lyricism. But even more, like, interestingly is like even listening to Lucent do this video, I can't help but relate to Florence even more through listening to Lucent's like interpretations and so on. I'm like, gosh, I really relate to her on such an emotional level, and just the way her mind works. I guess I relate to it. I'm not saying that like, oh, I'm like Florence. No, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying I relate to her, and it's so nice to feel that way. And yeah, I just think she's an amazing person to look up to as well.
Obviously, you've got this far, then it must mean that you quite like what I've got to offer.
Nah,
if you want
didn't
to
like
have
it.
more reactions from my perspective,
No,
or
go
if
subscribe.
you want to get involved in the community, or if you want to get involved with my music, or any of that, then make sure to subscribe. You can also check out my Patreon as well.
I should
Some
probably
of you
do
might be
this
watching
before the
this
last
earlier
song.
in the day. Because I'm going to try and upload it to Patreon, like the uncut edit it straight to Patreon as soon as I can. I'm going to start putting out uncut videos a week in advance. So, yeah, if you want to watch my videos a week before everybody else and you just can't wait, then you can sign up for the Patreon. I'm going to be taking on recommendations through Patreon as well. So yeah, make sure to check that out as well. Cool.
It is really important for like people like reactors and so on to have Patreons. Just because like this type of content, as much as it's so fun, it is you know, you do it a lot of the time for free. So having patrons is literally just like a godsend. It really helps people like Lucent and I to keep doing what we're doing. So yeah, if you can, do.
Woof. Oh, that might be my record. Pause.
Ooh.
I don't know what it is about the time at which I record my videos, but it always seems as if the deliveries for my records come right in the middle. Impromptu unboxing, let's go.
I love that.
Hope that sounds satisfying. I'm going to
does.
sample that. I was a little bit pissed off because like
Yeah,
the first
sample
pre-order
that.
was like, oh yeah, you got
Yeah,
the
you
pump disc
should.
and everything. Oh. And then she like did a whole bunch of other really cool stuff and I was like, oh, I've already bought it now. Yeah. I love these moments where the record comes in the middle of filming. It's great. Might actually sample
ASMR.
that. Oh wow.
I might actually sample
that.
that again. Love that. Woo,
Like
girl.
full double situation
I
going on
love
there.
that. I really
Brown.
do need to
Can't
get
tell.
some
Let's put it up in
records,
the background.
some vinyls.
There we go. I am no mother. I am no bride. I am king. Hello. Let's go on to the final song.
Let's
This
do
is
it.
Morning Elvis. I'm not sure what this is going to be about. Let's go. The guitar's kind of Elvis-y. Oh, I love that sound. It's like
Surfy.
almost like an auto-tuned lap steel or something.
When they dressed me and they put me on the plane to Memphis, I just sweated it out in a hotel room, but I think the king would have understood.
Oh, right, okay. Coming down, sweating it out.
Forehead to the floor and prayed for a trapdoor.
Wow.
Never made it to Graceland. If I make it to the morning,
Oof, beautiful.
and if I make it to the stage,
I love it.
I'll show you what it means to be sane.
Show you what it means to be sane. Wow.
Press my corpse against the wall. I told the band, get the next flight.
I think she's reflecting on her druggy nights.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Comparing herself to Elvis, you know, and his battle with addiction.
Yeah.
To be sane.
Wow. It's almost like this whole album has been like her finding sanity again. You know?
And the songs like
Oh,
children.
I love this.
If I make it to the morning.
Ugh. It's like a new appreciation for life, isn't it?
Yeah.
And she's looking back at how she was before and how now she has recovered from her addictions.
Yeah.
And, you know, if she can make it back onto stage again, you know, then she's really gonna show you who she is, you know.
It's to be sane.
Beautiful.
Wow.
What a powerful song.
I like the kind of like moving from Choreomania, like the insanity,
Yeah.
and finding sanity.
Yeah, absolutely.
it's the
Good way of
crowd.
tying it there.
Dreaming of the crowd back again. It's like the returning of, you know, people to events is like almost like heralded at the end of that song, isn't it? Oh my God.
Yeah.
What an experience. Fuck me. It was interesting because like it seems to be reflecting on like, you know, her life before. I think this is a good time to talk about what I think about the whole album. I think this whole album is about her rediscovering her sanity in the context of lockdown, in the context of her losing everything she thought she knew, in the context of her having to try and be an artist again, where everything was torn down. She has been forced to look inward. She has been forced to really contemplate like who she is again.
Yeah.
And she's had to find a way to make it through. And I think that like her comparison to this Choreomania, to this, you know, the dancing plague, she looks at dance and she looks at movement as a therapy. She looks at
Yeah.
it as the process in which she managed to regain this sanity. It was like she was reduced to such a kind of animalistic place
Yeah.
where she didn't know what else to do but dance. The
Yeah.
dance fever.
And like obviously, like you're saying, like scraps of inspiration for writing songs, it's kind of hard to do when you're in the same walls over and over again. Nothing's really that different. But dance is different. Dance you can just do. Like you don't necessarily need like major inspiration to dance. I mean, maybe if you're like a professional dancer you do, but like dancing is just an expression that is a bit like, if you're just a person who likes to dance without, you know, it being choreographed or whatever, dance is an expression that doesn't need a lot of creativity, I guess. But even though it is a creative art form. But you know what I'm saying. As a normie just dancing around, it's just like going through your body, feeling in your body, and moving to the music, letting the music move through you, and so on. So it's different to writing music, even though she did write music as well. And I know that she wanted to go. She was going to be going on tour. She was going to be writing an album, and so on, before she wrote this one, and then everything changed. So she basically wrote this one, which is interesting. I'm glad she did, because I absolutely love this album.
Realistic place where she didn't know what else to do but
Yeah,
dance.
yeah,
the dance
yeah.
fever is that place where she is taken right back to basics and rebuilds herself. The central kind of most poetic thing about it is that like everything is so big but everything is so small at the same time. You know, the human race is going through like an unprecedented crisis, and yet the birds are still just chirping, you know, it's insignificant. That for me is like a real center of like human existence and human existentialism. The highs and the lows, the angels and the devils, the yin and yang, it all kind of represents life. It all kind of represents existentialism, you know.
I just want to say as well, like, I was literally talking to my partner earlier and I said, I think the older you get, the more you realise how the world is in such balance. Like, the more you see that, like, when you're young, you kind of go, there's more good in the world. There's definitely more good to like keep yourself, you know, happy, I guess. And then sometimes when you're young as well, you can go, no, the world sucks. Like everything's bad in the world. But the more you go through life experiences, good and bad, the more you start to realise that is absolutely a yin and yang to everything. And even though you can be told that at a young age, you can't really feel it until you start growing and seeing it for yourself.
At humans' place in the world. And I think that like that's something that we all went through. We went through this huge traumatic world event where people were dying from this invisible disease. We were all forced to stay at home. All of our lives completely changed. The world completely changed. And I think that everybody was forced to kind of like appreciate being alive, B, appreciate the small things, forced to contemplate their existence in a way that when you're so busy with the busy kind of schedule of life, you just keep going and you don't actually stop and think. And yet we were all forced to do so. And I think that like that is really what she is representing in this album, is that moment in which we were all forced to stop and ponder our own existence. What happens when everything is taken away? What do we become? Do we just become dancing maniacs? Because at the end of the day, we are just animals. By the end, it's not like a wholly optimistic ending, but it does feel like she has had a journey, that she's learnt lessons along the way and she's kind of regained a level of sanity. The silver lining that she is presenting is this kind of forced introspection, isn't it? I don't know whether I'm saying this particularly eloquently, but I hope you understand what I'm talking about. Maybe edit it together a bit better.
No, very eloquent.
Really difficult to like articulate the poetry of it, you know. It's a really just absolutely such an
I think sometimes when something is so real and relatable and based in normality of and what everyone can feel, it is hard to explain the obvious. And I think like that's where that kind of comes from, that kind of like I hope it's, you know, making sense, because it is really hard to explain the obvious, because she's very obvious in a way about what she's saying, and because the feeling touches to the core so much that you're like, it's just so relatable that you're like, wow. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense either. So don't worry.
A big deep piece.
Don't
of
worry,
work.
Lucent. I always have my moments.
Listen to this and think, oh, it's not as good as Ceremonials, but I feel like it's a piece of work from an artist who is now, you know, on her 5th album. She is experienced. She's gone through stuff. She's had to like, you know, regain a way of learning how to make music multiple times, and now she is such an expert at lyricism, and this is just her showing off. It's more than just hookiness. It's more than just pop. It's intentional, it's thoughtful, it's deep, it's real art. I love think this album. Fucking incredible.
Yay.
Yeah, I've talked a lot. Thank you so much for tuning into this reaction. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got something out of it. I definitely did. Let me know what your interpretation of the songs are. Let me know what your interpretation of the whole album is. Like, feel free to share your own personal experiences with lockdown and stuff, because I think it's quite cathartic for us to kind of share in this kind of joint experience that we all had. Obviously, all this stuff is completely up for interpretation, so yeah, let me know what you think it's all about. Before we go,
I think you did a pretty good job.
To my Weeping Wendy patrons.
A very
Those are the guys who pledged my 2nd tier of my Patreon. Their name's coming up on the screen now. Those guys get to watch my videos uncut, and they get to watch my videos early. And soon they'll be watching my videos a week in advance once I get that sorted. If you just want to join the Crying Club, they're also going to have early access soon as well. And you can watch my videos without any adverts or anything. So yeah, make sure to support me on Patreon if you want to. Thank you so much for tuning into this reaction. It really is just, oh God, she's amazing. I love her so much.
Thank you for reacting to it.
I'll see you next week for Harry Styles. Cool, bye.
Nice, yeah. What did I think of Lucent's video? Well, I think it's quite obvious what I thought. I felt like everything he said made complete sense to what the songs were about, and I definitely found out new things. I think like the Daffodil one, I didn't really even think about like how, like in my reaction, I didn't think about how like looking into the face of the daffodil was talking about spring and so on. I'm gonna have to rewatch my video because I can't even remember what I've said now, and especially now when I listen to the album, I'm not thinking about the things I thought like when I first listened to it. Do you know what I mean? I'm just singing to the music, I'm just listening to the vocals, listening to the music. You know what I mean? It's a different experience from first reacting and analysing and so on. No, everything he said I really resonate with fully, and I think he just articulated it so well, and I knew he would. He always is so good at like tying songs together and really interpreting them quite quickly as well, without, you know, he might look into something, but he'll always have like a somewhat of an interpretation before he looks into it, and it always makes sense. I just think Luscent's like an actual, like, very good reactor, and we do things similarly. Yes. I think we are different. We have different personalities, of course. However, like, if you like that kind of deeper analysis, then like that literally, it just makes so much sense with Lucent to like watch his videos, because he will give you that. But I loved it. I really want to watch more of his reactions to Florence, and yeah, I don't know, like, because I got hooked on his Lana reactions. So yeah, maybe I'm ready for the Florence ones. But yeah, I don't know how many Florence albums he has reacted to. I'm entirely sure, actually, or if he has, or maybe he's had the other album. I'll check after this. I don't need to talk about that now. But no, absolutely loved the video. It went by so much quicker than I thought it would. Like, I felt like I didn't even pause that much, because like everything he was saying, I was just like, yeah, I agree. Cool, next. You know, it's almost like I had nothing to say because I was just in agreement. Yeah. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. And yes, please subscribe to my channel, become a patron to me, and like and comment and all of those things, and do the same for Lucent. But yes, I shall see you next time. Bye.